Migrating your data to the cloud unlocks a wealth of benefits, but the process requires careful planning, especially regarding data security. A data breach during migration can be devastating, so prioritizing robust security measures is crucial. This webinar will explore the importance of data security during migration and the advantages offered by a secure data transfer solution with additional functionalities for archiving and sharing. Hello and welcome to this video webcast titled Unleash Secure and High-Speed Cloud Data Migration with Server General, Equinix, and Google Cloud. Brought to you by Equinix and CIO.com. My name is Tom Schmidt, contributing editor with CIO Marketing Services, and I'll be the host of this webcast. Joining me is Melissa Cotton, Director of Strategic Alliances at Equinix. Melissa has more than 15 years of successfully helping organizations evolve through developing strategic partnerships that drive new market penetration and continued market leadership presence, sales growth, and sustainable profitability. Hello, Melissa.
Hey, Tom. Thanks so much for having me today.
Also joining me is Raj Sharma, founder and CEO of Server General. Server General Solutions are trusted by some of the leading organizations in the United States, Europe, and Japan to protect their data and to meet stringent data security requirements imposed by GDPR, HIPAA, and PCI DSS mandates. Welcome, Raj.
Hey, Tom. Thank you for having me.
Melissa and Raj, before you share with us what Equinix, Server General, and Google Cloud have developed together, can you begin at the beginning and tell us what it means to have a continuous data security obligation?
Sure, Tom. So the continuous data security obligation is the obligation of the organization which has in its possession data that is in scope. In scope data meaning data which is regulated, which must be protected. So the continuous part comes in that it is not just one-time action that you will take to protect the data. It is a continuous obligation to make sure the data remains protected. And the way this has to happen is when you create the data to the final destination, when you delete that information, throughout the life cycle, it has to be protected. That's what the continuous data protection means.
I see. So in regards to data migration, can you address the limitations of point-to-point networks as well as the challenges with VPNs?
Yeah, I'll take a step back a little bit. So I think the main thing is when you are trying to migrate data, which is in scope, you have your obligation to maintain the security and the privacy of the information, not just from an ethical perspective, but also from a regulatory compliance perspective is still there. So even though the interval may be short, you may think it's going to take only a day or 2 or 3 days to transfer the data so I can take my chances. That's not acceptable. You already will be breaching a contractual obligation you have, and there are consequences for that. So that's why you have to make sure that the data remains, the security posture remains the same, even during the migration process or archival process or even sharing, when you're doing any of that. So what is your first impulse? The first impulse is, well, let me do something that's going to be foolproof. And that is, I will not even send my data over the internet. I will just use a point-to-point connection. This way, I'm not breaching any of the obligations, data will remain secure. But that's a fallacy. Because when you're using point-to-point network, you have certainly raised the bar, because now the data is not going over the internet, but at the same time, somebody who has access to that network, they can tap into the network, point-to-point network, they will be able to see the data because the data is going in clear text, right? So the next impulse is, okay, well, you know what? We want to make sure that the data is not breached, so they will set up a VPN. So you have a point-to-point network and you have a VPN on top of that. So now you're saying, okay, well, I got this encrypted tunnel and my data is flowing through the tunnel, so there's no way anybody's going to get it. Well, even that doesn't work. The reason that doesn't work is because the VPN tunnel is terminated at the firewall at the destination cloud. So when you get to the destination cloud, let's say you're transferring data from Amazon to Google, that firewall, which is being used by many other users, many other companies are also using the same firewall, is because it's a shared resource. So if there's any bug in that firewall, so a malicious actor can go in and exploit that and able to see your data, which is, again, that's a problem from a compliance perspective. And finally, when you have the termination taking place at the firewall level and the data still has to traverse to the destination, which is the server, that's going to be in clear text. So there's further chance that somebody could go in and see your data. So that all of that doesn't really work. Now, going back to point-to-point network, they provide a lot of, they bring a lot to the table, which is they're very fast. You can do things that you don't have to go over the internet. But there are certain things that still, from a security and a compliance perspective, you have to be very sure about. Melissa, you have anything?
Yeah, I was just going to say, this is a little foreshadowing of what we're going to talk about, right? But that's one of the reasons why Equinix and Server General and Google Cloud came together for this, because this solution that we're going to talk a little bit more about is because together we offer a robust solution that leverages dedicated private connectivity and allows the addition of securing that data and encrypting it throughout the entire process.
Well, apropos of that point, can you talk about the advantages of data at rest encryption? And separately, what about the compliance considerations that apply here?
Sure. So data at rest encryption, as you know, implies that data is encrypted at rest, meaning it's not being encrypted as it's traversing the network. It's not the VPN. You encrypt the data before it goes on its journey to the destination network. So the way that happens is, you will have the data ingested into one of our machines, and we do the encryption part using AES, and the data gets encrypted. So there is no way it can be compromised because it's already encrypted at the data layer, right? Moreover, we hand the keys over to the customer. By handing the keys over to the customer, meaning the data owner, they can be sure that unless that data encryption key is handed over to somebody else, nobody can decrypt the data, right? So data at rest encryption provides protection against any kind of malicious action. But it's not just simple one thing. You always have to have multitude of things, to provide the data protection. You still need access control. You still need logging. You still need all the other things to protect the information. But data encryption does help. Now, looking from a compliance perspective, if you look at the PCI, you look at HIPAA, you look at all these different regulations. Some of them mandate and the data has to be encrypted. So when you're encrypting data at rest, you could be sure that that's something you're doing which will benefit you when the audit takes place and when you have to prove that you have taken the right steps to encrypt your data and to protect your information.
Very good. Now let's move on to the Equinix Server General Google Cloud partnership. Melissa, what have you created and what issues are you addressing?
Yeah, no. So we're really excited about this, right? We're not just putting pieces of a puzzle together or putting pieces together and trying to sell more to customers, but we really looked at it from the different types of challenges that customers are facing and how we could bring best of breed products together and make it easier and simpler for the customers to implement as well as, solve their problems, right? Achieve their goals. And so with Server General's Transfer General solution, we get that data encrypted throughout the entire process. With Equinix's underlying network infrastructure, we're bringing that robust platform that's going to help you power your hybrid and multi-cloud solutions. And then Google Cloud gives you the best in breed in terms of public cloud. All together, we wrap around low latency, high bandwidth performance, security, and just, the trust of some of the biggest names when it comes to network infrastructure and public cloud.
Yeah. So, Tom, if I could add one more thing to this, Server General is an authorized partner of Google's to provide a short workload as is. We obviously work with the Equinix because they have the best network and they can speed up the data. So if you're transferring terabytes of data, you need a fast network. You're not going to sit there for a month or 2 months to transfer that information. So that's why Equinix comes into play, and they provide the best of the on-ramps to all these different cloud platforms. But the other part is, if you're looking for compliance, you're moving the data into Google Cloud and you're looking for compliance, Google provides something called assured workloads. And within that assured workload environment, they've already pre-configured the network and the machines in there, which will allow you to comply with a certain compliance regime. So if you're looking for FedRAMP, if you're looking for HIPAA, if you're looking for FISMA, you're looking for any of that, all of that is already configured. So since we're a partner, we can deploy the machine directly into the short workload environment. So the data will come directly into a machine that's already compliant. So that makes a lot of difference, having to, not having to configure all those things to be able to comply. It's already in that environment, which is compliant, and the assurance is given by Google that it is compliant.
Excellent. Raj, the IT pros who make up the Foundry IDG audience are a show me group. Can you share some use cases?
Yeah, sure. So if you look here in this slide, in this particular customer is trying to move information from Amazon to Google, or it could be Azure also, but it's the same thing. So what we do is we deploy so there are two components to Transfer General. One is called Transfer General Main, and other one is called Transfer General Remote. So we'll just use a short name, TGM and TGR. So TGM, the main machine, is deployed near the source of the information. So let's say the information resides in a file server. So TGM will get deployed near the source in the customer's network, and the customer will then ingest the data into TGM. As the data goes into TGM, it is getting encrypted and getting stored onto the disk. So that's the ingestion process. That's number one. And number two, then we leverage Equinix network. So very, very fast. You could go up to 100 gigabits per second if you like. And we use those pipes to move the data. Now, please mind you here that these are cipher bits. This is encrypted data. This is not unencrypted data. And we're using point-to-point network. So once it gets to the other side, we have the other component of our solution, which is called TGR, Transfer General Remote, which receives the data. So once the data is received by TGR, then the data administrator can go in and unencrypt the data. And once it's unencrypted, it can be moved into a file server, wherever they want to move. So it's very, very smooth transition. You get the data from the source, you get to the encrypted data, you use very, very fast network, and you get the data to the destination, and then you hand over the data to the customer. And please mind you, in all of this, we do not have the data encryption key. Only the customer does. So there is no way, Equinix people or Google staff or our staff can get into this information because we do not even have the data encryption key to be able to see the data in clear text. So here's another example. This customer is looking to, they're a MySQL shop and a data center customer, and they were trying to, they generate lots of log information. Actually, they have 7 different data centers, and they generate about 1 terabyte of logging information every single day. So, and they're storing that information in a MySQL server, and since they have to comply with different regulations, they were very worried about having this information go and sit in a public cloud. So in this case, we come in and we deploy our transfer general, which acts like a MySQL replica. They're able to then move the data into this MySQL server, and then we create a backup, we encrypt the backup, we hand the key over to the customer, and we move the data to a bucket using, again, Equinix pipes. Very, very fast, because those pipes are really fast. And we're able to now save money, because now the data, they do not have to buy local storage. They can use public storage. So in this case, the pharmaceutical company wanted to share the research with their partners. And as you know, it's very, very critical that nobody else gets to that research, because there's a lot of intellectual property. And the way this is done, again, this is research data, and it's a large quantity. And the way they wanted to do this is to get the data from the corporate network to the partner. Now, as you know, the corporations do not have enough bandwidth to move this kind of data. So what we do is we use Equinix pipes. First, we encrypt the data on premise, and we give the key to the customer. After the data is encrypted, we use Equinix Network to move the data to Google Bucket, again, because that's a stable environment, very, very stable. And then we use Google Network to disseminate the information to the partners, and each partner has the other end of the solution deployed, the TGR. So when the data gets to the destination, it actually is encrypted. So we can use internet to move the data over from Google, and nobody can still see it because it's all encrypted. Google staff cannot see it because it's encrypted. Equinix people cannot see it because it's encrypted. Our staff cannot see it because it's encrypted, right? So when the data gets to the destination, then the data owner can decrypt the data and allow access to that information. So this is very, very important. Most of the time when you move the data to a destination, you lose control over the information that you have shared. But in this case, since we use cryptography, they can just change the data encryption key, and by merely changing data encryption key, they can deny access to the information, even though the information has been shared with the partner. So A, it's secure, and B, they maintain control over that information. C, the bandwidth limitation goes away because we use Equinix point-to-point network to move the data to the cloud.
No, I was just going to say, so a great opportunity to dig a little bit deeper into three of the primary use cases that we see and we've been talking to customers about. And just being able to use the Equinix fabric and our private dedicated connectivity between your environment, Google Cloud, and on-premise, and being able to move that data around. We know how important data is to every single company. And here with this solution, we're able to help ensure that data stays critical and stays within your parameters in terms of who you want to share it with and how you want to share it.
Very good and great examples. Melissa and Raj, it looks like it's about time to wrap up. What are the key takeaways from today's webinar? And where can our audience members get more information?
Yeah, I think that this is a great opportunity if you just want to see. So from my perspective, I think that we bring three things to the table. Number one, if you're looking to migrate data from one platform to another platform, or from a data center to a platform, then we can help you with that. If you're trying to archive your data and you are a data center customer and you want to make sure the archival process is secure, then we can help you with that part by encrypting the data and moving this into Google storage. And thirdly, if you're trying to share information with your partners, which is highly sensitive in nature, we can get that information to the destination in a secure manner. And we will also can help you with compliance, because we use data encryption at rest for all three use cases. So I think it's a great opportunity, and we'll be very happy to, as Melissa said, do a free proof of concept, and you can see it for yourself how it works.
So we're excited to share with you different ways in which companies of all shapes and sizes can take advantage of Transfer General, Equinix Digital Services, and Google Cloud for secure data migration. We're also super excited to bring to any attendee or I should say the first 10 customers that are qualified. We're very excited to offer everyone a free 14-day trial so you can test Transfer General, Equinix, and Google Cloud secure data migration solution out for yourself. And so we've got here our different websites where you can go check out the solution in more detail. And please, if you're interested and want to learn more, you can reach out to admin@servergeneral.com or google@equinix.com. And Raj and I will be happy to get in touch with you and talk to you more about it.
Very good. Well, that's about all the time we have for today's webcast. I want to give a big thanks to our speakers, Melissa Cotton of Equinix and Raj Sharma of Server General, for sharing their insights and expertise with us today. Thanks to you, our viewers, for tuning in. Please be sure to check out the offer that Melissa referenced, as well as the resources section of your player for some valuable Equinix content. For Equinix and CIO.com, I'm Tom Schmidt.